Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast, where the legal industry gets real. I'm your host, Etta Rosa, legal consultant, speaker, and founder of Etta Rosa LLC and the Limitless Paralegal Academy. This isn't your stuffy legal studies school lecture. We're talking mindset, money, modern workflows, and how to build a career and a life you don't need a vacation from. Let's cut the fluff, raise the bar, and change the game one conversation at a time. If you like what you hear, feel free to share and send us your feedback. Now let's talk paralegal. In this episode, I'm joined by Jessica Volker, Director of Business Development at Responsive Answering Service. Jessica and her team live by a clear mission to elevate customer service for every client they serve. In the legal industry, where every call is high stakes, her approach shows how an answering service can be more than a call center. It can be a trusted partner that helps law firms thrive. Listen in for more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Let's Talk Paralegal podcast. I'm your host, Etta, and today I have Jess, and we're going to be talking about probably one of my favorite and least favorite topics. And I'll tell you why that makes sense in a second. But we're talking about customer service, humanizing the legal industry like we always do. In season 6, this is our topic, our theme. So it's going to align great with what we're doing with season 6. But Jess has a little different take on it because they don't work only with the legal industry, they work outside the legal industry. So we're going to talk about how that looks like, maybe some trends or something in between. But before we get into all of that, how about we meet Jess and learn a little bit more about her, and then we can move forward. So Jess, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today. So just like you mentioned, I am within the customer service realm, right? I'm with Responsive Answering Service. We're a 24/7 answering service that provides, in essence, receptionist support to different businesses. One of those industries largely being the legal industry. I'd say that they probably make up about a third of our business, maybe a fourth, but about there. So we provide customer service support. I've been with Responsive Answering Service for about almost 4 years, but I've been in the field of call centers, answering services for pretty much my entire adult life. So about 15 years of that. And yeah, I'm happy and excited to be here and share some tips and some stories.
I love it. Yes, I'm sure you have some great ones too. And I follow these, I don't know what you want to call them, influencers on Instagram and YouTube. And one of my favorites, I forgot her name right now, but she talks about customer service and how she's a customer service rep. And one of my favorite topics, I think, when it comes to customer service is bilingual, when you speak more than one language and say habla español or click 1 for Spanish or 2 for French, whatever the case may be. So customer service is not just about answering the phone. We know that. It's about actually providing the service and possibly some results to the overall problem, right? So it's our first point of contact. And I'm trying to paint a picture for our audience because most of the people might think, oh, it's an answering service. They just answer calls all day. But there's a lot more that goes into that. There's intake forms. There's, other questions outside the intake form sometimes that we have to navigate through. And I'm curious to learn more about what that looks like on your end because we look at it in the traditional route as far as in-house, in office, but you guys are a full-on, call center, right? Let's just call it that for now. A lot more than that, but you focus more on answering those calls. And we know in the legal industry, Clio Trends always is saying this, that about 80% of phone calls in the legal industry are missed. So you are definitely a great solution for that. But let's talk about all those challenges and obstacles that you see day in and day out.
Yeah, so I'd say that the biggest thing that I see is the missed calls. The missed calls. You have usually 1 to 2 people that are fronting the line as far as answering calls and trying to route them to the correct person. If not an endless system with a million options, right? Which I'm always the person that hits 0 because I want to talk to someone. But you have either one of those things. And if they're on the other line, if they're filling out an intake form to make sure that this person is even a good fit for your firm, they're missing calls that are possibly ringing. Or if you're out to dinner and the office is closed for the day, you could be missing calls. And that's where we kind of come in to make sure that you are maximizing on all of the investment that you're making to attract these leads and to attract these clients.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your like number one ask, I would say?
Our number one ask right now, I would say, specifically to the legal field, is for us to do that client intake form to make sure that they handle that type of case. If you know it's a car accident, have you spoken to another attorney before? If you have, sorry, can't help you. Just going with personal injury because that's one of the biggest ones that we kind of work with. Um, have you sought out medical help? Has was the accident 3 years ago or less than that? Is it a dog bite? Okay, sorry, we don't do dog bites. So, having us be the person that does that so that your team is focusing on qualified leads and actual potential clients and not wasting their time with someone who may not know how to use Google the best way.
Yeah, no, I get it. And in addition to that, we see it on our end on the frontliners is when we miss those calls or when the client or prospect client feels unheard, unseen, or pretty much just brushed off, having a
Hmm.
service such as you guys would actually assist in that because sometimes the paralegals, let's just be real, is very busy, right? Looking for strategies and researching or maybe handling another call right at that moment and there's only one of them and two hands in one call so but there's 500 plus clients
Yeah,
so sometimes the clients don't understand that or the prospect clients are not understanding that and that's really where the discrepancy of communication comes from and that's where the client distress comes from right because they're already stressed out. They're already in this mindset and they're already frustrated, right? Because they're
right,
going through this unnecessary thing that shouldn't have happened or whatever the case may be. And here they are not even being heard or even attended to in the way that they see fit, right?
right,
So that brings me to our next element to the conversation is pretty much expectation, which is what you were just talking about. You were talking about we don't handle dog bites, so you shouldn't really be, we're not the firm for you. Or the statute of limitation is 3 years. If it's past 3 years, unfortunately, we're just not going to be able to handle that. So sometimes we are at a advantage when the other person is at a disadvantage and that creates chaos, right? So there might be in between moments where it's like at the 2.5 mark and even though there's only 6 months left there may be a possibility that we can cure that wrong. However, having that middle person and having that excess help really alleviates the bottleneck, right? And the inefficiency and the miscommunication and everything that comes with the actual element of client service, right? Because this is just one portion of everything else. But once we do onboard, right? Let's say you do the intake form and they're calling after hours, or let's say they're one of those really amazing law firms, which I keep pushing law firms to do this, that shut down from like 1 to 2 p.m. for lunch and nobody
right.
gets a call. Everybody gets that 1 hour break. So you guys are that excess service, or they're doing amazing team building services. Yes, I'm talking to you guys. Let's do this. Come on. You have to bring this to your law firms
Yeah,
or your legal businesses in general. This is healthy for your team. Or they're investing in their team and they're doing an event or a team building or a lunch and learn or whatever the case may be, and they need this service, right? This is all different ways that we can use this type of service that people don't really realize. And
right.
so having that type of service is also going to help us with the client portion of it, right? Oh, they're not answering, they're out. Oh, that's right. Okay, so they're on lunch. Yes, we have lunch, we have lives. We
Yes, you
we do other
eat.
things. Yes, we eat. We are human. But this also creates discrepancy. Like
Mm.
yesterday, I had this amazing experience that was one of those experiences that I just jumped into, didn't really think of the value that I would get out of it. And it was a random, I wouldn't say random because algorithm knows me by now, but it was like a little pop-up that said, "Hey, there's this event going on." And at first I didn't really see the synergy, but then I saw that Adam Grant was going to be in it, and I'm a big, huge fan. My followers know this by now. And don't worry, I'm getting to the point in a second. So just bear with me for like 2 minutes. And in this transaction, it was the Indeed Future Works event. They do this, it's a big event. They do this every year. But this is the first time that I was actually able to attend. And I made it a point to attend because I wanted to see Adam Grant. Even if it was virtually, I was unfortunately I wasn't able to attend in person for a lot of reasons. But they talked about literally the entire day, every single, there was a 2 day, it was a 2 day event, and every single day, every single presentation talked about dun 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 AI, right? And it talked
Mhm.
about artificial intelligence and the future of work and what that can look like and how this is, being a discrepancy, but also it's enhancing and it was always this tug and pull conversation depending on who the speaker was. So it didn't even matter about the topic. It was present
Yeah.
and there, right? It's there and it can be disruptive, but it can also be a tool. And then you're getting all these conflictive, kind of information in the same setting. But
Hmm.
once I pulled back, right? Once I said, you know what, let me rewatch some of these, I didn't hear discrepancies. I heard synergies, right? I heard that even though it can be disrupting it, that's okay. That's not a bad thing because it's going to take us to the next level. It's kind of like when internet first started. It took about,
Hmm.
well, the trend was saying it took about 11 years for it to actually be fully implemented. So we're in that process, but we're not looking at 11 years, we're looking at 5. So within the next 5 years, AI will literally be fully implemented across all legal industry. But this is also, there's a caveat, and this is also disrupting, or I guess the discrepancy here is the communication aspect and how we
Hmm.
communicate with our clients. Studies show, and I want my audience to know this, that we talk about AI not being empathetic, but when they interviewed and tested throughout the whole industry, and by they I mean Indeed, they did a full on survey with over 10,000 people across all industry and across all nations. They said that the AI was actually more empathetic than the customer service rep. And that for me was a shocker, right?
Yeah,
I was
that's
not
shocking.
expecting, yeah, I was not expecting that. But I will tell you why, because I learned why. Because you know me, I'm always looking for the why.
Yeah.
So the why to that was is that the human tends to be empathetic in the way where it's called reverse. So like let's give an example. I tell you I'm having a really bad day and you're like, "Oh my God, me too. I did this. It's such a long week." Da, da, da." So now it's the conversation already switched to you versus you
Right.
saying, "Tell me more. What happened? Are you okay? Is there anything I can help you with?" So AI goes automatically analyzes the situation and says, these are the three possibilities that why this person can be having a bad day and goes straight
Yeah.
into all about you, not about me, right? And so I guess the future of customer service looks like what I'm gathering in this 2 day event was it looks more about we got to be better humans because AI is being better than us and this is not cool.
Yeah. Well,
We
I
got to
don't know if
treat it
you've seen the
differently.
things, but like there's always like the different personalities within, human beings, and that's a one upper, right? Like, oh, you had a bad day? Guess what? So did I. My day was worse than yours. So I can see that because yes, when you type things into like any sort of AI tool, it does, it doesn't make it about itself. It's not having a bad day.
Yeah, exactly. It
So I
never
can
has
see
a
that.
bad day.
It never has a bad day. But yeah, I can definitely see that. You know, one of the major things that we train on are like customer service elements, right? Like the being empathetic, the being understanding, the tone of your voice is everything when you're on the phone because they can't see you. They can't see your facial expressions, your body language. So those are some of the things that we try to like just drill into our agents to make sure that we're not that. And obviously, they're trying to move on to the next call. So they don't really have time to engage in the, well, my day is horrible too. No, they're trying to get the information, move on to the next one, and be as polite, as professional, as empathetic as they can be.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I can
And it's,
totally see it being a
but it,
tool for sure.
Hey, legal pros, are you ready to stop playing small? The Limitless Paralegal Academy is officially open, offering powerhouse courses, real world tools, and expert led training to help you build the career and life you actually want. We're not stopping there. The Limitless Paralegal Tour is hitting the road. We're bringing the mindset shifts, career strategies, and community straight to your city with epic speakers, actionable sessions, and zero boring PowerPoints. This isn't your average CLE. This is your legal career reimagined. Join the Academy, meet us on tour, become the legal pro everyone remembers. Visit limitlessparalegalacademy.com to enroll and grab your ticket now. Be bold, be brilliant, but most importantly, be limitless. Well, but that's the thing, right? So we have these AI avatars that are now taking place for the human. But like you, I'm the zero person. I want to talk to a human because sometimes those prompts are not what I need. I'm looking for something
Right.
specific. It's not an option. Or I just want to actually have a real conversation, not somebody to tell me it's going to be okay. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here
Hmm.
for results. I'm a very result driven person. So
Hmm.
I believe, like anything else in life, it's relevant, it's perspective, it's mindset, it's where you're at. Because as a customer service rep or as a customer service person in general, legal support staff, whatever it is, we also have bad days. We're also not in the mood, right? Like,
Right.
trust me. I'm here because I love podcasting. It was, like I was telling you before the recording, it was not the greatest week, but hey, I'm gonna get through it and we're gonna do this. And I'm here and I'm doing what I love and I'm changing the perspective and my mindset. But it took a long time for me to learn these skills. It took a lot of
Yeah.
reading, it took a lot of practice, and I think ultimately that's where the new conversations need to be. Yes, we need AI. Yes, it's a tool, but we still need the human. Being a human, that human to human interaction is super important. Human resource is not going anywhere because they're the ones that are going to innovate these future jobs. They're the ones that are
Right.
going to be the leaders and carrying the torch towards a new tomorrow and new opportunity. But other solutions that answering service can also comply with, or I guess fill in those gaps, not only with the incoming calls, but also with the long term, right? So let's talk a little bit about that. The long-term need of having you guys, because the caseload's only going to grow
Hmm.
and we are paying for a service that's much needed. So how do you guys, I'm curious, because you know me, I'm a little, I like to think outside the box, but how do you guys handle the I'm not just an answering service, right? Because sometimes I get that too, especially when I'm calling a medical office and you can clearly see because my kids
No
have been going to
answering.
the same doctor that it's an
Yeah.
answering service,
Yeah.
not Anita in the front desk, right? And so I guess that can also be a frustration, right? That can, especially with the long-term client that has been with the company or is a patient for a long time or whatever the case may be, fill in the blank. How do you guys deal with those situations?
It's different based off of each company, right? Like every client has their specific way that they want us to represent ourselves. A lot of them, yes, they want us to portray ourselves as an extension of their company. Then you have ones where they know their clientele. They know that it's a small town. They're gonna know that it's not Anita at the front desk, that it's some random person that doesn't even sound like them. So I think it really depends. Demographics plays like a huge role in that as far as like how they want us to represent ourselves. Um, but we try to offer more than just answering the phone. We try to not only integrate with like the tools that the clients themselves are working, but just assure the person and reassure them again that we are doing what we can as far as to get the information over to them. Sometimes we have access to FAQs where we can go above and beyond and like actually be helpful. Wouldn't want to do that with a medical client, obviously, but in other industries, we can definitely be more specific with our responses to why the person may be calling. But I think it really depends on your demographics of clients on where that's going to get you. I would say that I would still prefer to speak to an answering service agent that's hearing me, taking down the information and assuring me that this is going to this person and not that it's going into a random mailbox, voicemail box. I never listen to my voicemails. A lot of people probably don't. So I just think, or leaving it in like a just general, they have these voicemail boxes that transcribe the message and they get it via text message. Like the transcription never matches what the person is saying. So I'd rather talk to a human who listened, took the time to reassure me about a situation and get the information over. So it's to each their own. It's definitely not going to be a perfect fit for everyone, but I'd say that the majority of the people want a good customer experience, and that's what we provide. We provide a professional, friendly, and kind customer experience to our clients.
Yeah, and of course, like you said, it has to be tailored, right? Like anything else. But another thing I heard throughout your response was the more information provided, the better. And that's what I always tell anyone, that we
Hmm.
work with, any of our legal organizations, our law firms, paralegal firms, legal tech companies. The more information you provide, the expectations that are met and set before the service is provided, the easier the transition's going to be, right?
Definitely.
So yes, absolutely. It's not a one size fits all. We're not for everybody. You're not for everybody. I'm completely aware of that. But really, if you're looking for a gap option, I always say, why not? Like, just try it. What's the
Yeah.
worst that can happen? Well, okay, there's a lot of bad things that can happen, but the reason that
There's
you
a lot of
can,
good things
or
too.
yeah, but there's a lot of good things too. So you got, and like anything else, right? Pros and
Yeah.
cons. And I love that. But always setting expectation for me is number one. What
Yeah.
are the expectations? What are you trying to
Yeah.
accomplish? Like, every time I get a call or somebody's trying to pitch me something, I look at them straight in the eye after their whole little spiel and they're so excited to show me the demo or whatever it is. And I look at them and I said, what are you trying to accomplish? And they're all looking at me like two heads. And I was like, where do you see this going in a year, a month, a day? Like, what is
Hmm.
it that you're trying to accomplish? You can talk about your product all you want, but at the end of the day, if you cannot properly respond to that question, then you don't know what you're selling. You don't know what you're doing, and I'm not, we're not doing that. Another thing is we get a lot of companies that don't don't even know who we are, and I love that. I really appreciate those moments because then I can say, okay, bye. But yeah, setting expectations, doing your
Yeah.
research, that's definitely where we're at. So do you have any like takeaways or anything that you can provide our audience with where it can help them, with their customer service or a resource or anything that you have maybe to offer them?
Yeah, I mean, as far as like resources, if you are going to explore the option of an answering service or of a call center that's going to help you, you definitely want to, I think when people think of an answering service or a call center, sometimes they automatically go to, oh, they're not in the US. They're outside of the country. So if that's important to you, definitely you want to make sure that the company that you're partnering with is US based, has agents in the US, bilingual, trilingual, multiple languages. It's the US, we need that. Um, you want to double check that. You want to make sure that they're offering more than just answering the phone, whether it's during hours or after hours. Like can they fill out your intake forms? Can they integrate with your CRMs, whether that's Practice Panther or Clio, any of those? Can they submit the information to where you're not having to take an extra step to then turn around and enter this information manually, where it could just appear there the next day and you're not changing the way that you work for another company. It should be an added benefit. It should not create more work for you.
I love
And
that. I
you,
love the
yeah,
integration because
yeah,
integration and automation are, for me, are essential to run a business effectively and efficiently. That's
definitely
amazing.
essential for sure. And then just look
Awesome.
at their employees. Are their employees happy? Are their employees happy to be there? Because a happy employee is a good employee, and they're always going to go above and beyond when they feel appreciated. So if if the company sounds like, they've had employees there for 10, 12, 20 years, like that's a good answering service. Or just a
Yeah.
business in general.
I was gonna say, I'm like, that kind of translates everywhere.
Yeah, translates everywhere. So I'd say, make sure you're vetting them out. Make sure you have a connection with the person because that always helps too. But make sure that you do your due diligence and you do your research just like everything else.
I agree. Totally agree. Thank you so much for those tips. I wrote them down so we can add them to the show notes as well. But I appreciate your time and I appreciate you taking the time to share this information with our audience. Hopefully, they benefited from the episode and from the resources. As always, everybody, you can look at the information on the description of this episode. They'll be hyperlinked everywhere. You can connect with Jess and the company, and they'll be more than happy to answer any and all questions. Right, Jess?
Yes, for sure. Feel free to reach out, guys. Thank you
Awesome.
so
And
much for
until,
having me again.
of course, until justice is served, until next time, bye guys.
Bye.